Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pool Box Pals podcast. I am one of your pals. My name is Monk, and with me is my pal Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing all right. A little disclaimer for everybody. I'm fighting a tiny bit of a cold, so my voice is a little smooth jazzy today.
Yeah, you definitely sound like you're setting up for this one is retro dance. I can't think of a
And
jazz.
this
I
one
don't know
goes
what.
out to Caitlin. Benjamin says hello.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Dude, I was so influenced by that type of music when I was a kid because I would always listen to the radio like late at night when I was going to sleep. So
Yeah.
like those kind of DJs sunk into my souls. And a lot of that smooth sax like the do 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 do. So that's
Yeah.
in
I
there.
mean
But
and that still exists, but it's just not as like big as it used to be because
that's a shame.
I'm from an era where it's like I remember having cars that had cassette players and your cassette player broke long ago because the tape got all screwed up in it, so you had to listen to the radio and you'd hear guys that talk about smooth jazz.
Ooh. So, remember how there was that time with the cassette player that you would have one that you could put into the thing and it would have an aux cord that you could plug like your CD player into or whatever,
Yeah.
or MP3 player?
Yeah.
I I think this is the coolest thing. There's those cassettes, but they're Bluetooth. So like you can connect your phone to if you have a cassette player in your car, you put that in and then now you can connect via Bluetooth. They cut out the aux cord.
And
So
you
that's
can
what
make a
I
mixtape.
and you can make a mixtape. I mean, you can
That's
just play
awesome.
from your phone.
Yeah.
Like, so
Obviously,
that's
you can just play from your phone, but like okay, today we have playlists and you can
yeah.
send your friend a playlist on Spotify or whatever, but it doesn't capture that golden like nostalgia for me of I made this, like I put this in my tape player and I hit record while the CD or the radio was playing and I made you a mixtape. Here you go, pal.
Thank
And
you.
it's just
I've
not
always
the
wanted
same
one.
because it's like, here's a text message. I made this playlist for you, buddy.
It does feel hollow, but maybe that's what the kids are into because I'm trying to put myself in the 15, 14-year-old Timmy's body and just thinking if somebody was like I made a playlist for you, I think I would cherish that because there's even like I was talking with my girlfriend about this yesterday, how there's YouTube versions of songs that are different than like album versions of songs. I don't
Hmm.
know if or just like there's acoustic sets that bands do or whatever that they obviously don't have on their album or what have you.
Yeah.
Um and then that's why a lot of people have YouTube music as like their thing so they can listen to these alternative versions of songs. And so it's weird that like I do think that the newer generation will have a little bit more like affiliation towards digital music and like what they
Yeah.
represent more than like you and I where it's like trying to track down a CD. But
Yeah.
I do think it's a little bit different.
It is like everything's at your fingertips these days. But we're not here on this podcast to be the what do you want to say the billboard buddies.
Well, we can't do Billboard Buddies because it's Box Office Buddies is the
Oh
other one,
yeah,
so it
and
has to
it's
be another B word.
box
Bros.
office buds.
Okay, buds. Box
So
Office Buds.
billboard bros.
Billboard Bros. Yeah, because
Yeah,
bros talk about music.
that's all
Um,
stuff that if we continue to grow our friendly fan base, we might
we,
have other podcasts like that.
Mark, I wanted to show you something before we got into our
You got
pools.
your
This is
tea.
this is what Gears tea looks like.
That's awesome. And it
Yeah,
comes in like the little milk carton.
it does, and it tastes different
That's
in the
great.
milk carton than it does when it comes in like a plastic jug.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so I'm
No, the vessel changes the outcome of the overall flavor.
So, Gears, if you want to support this podcast, we are more than willing to. I live literally like right down the street from where they make it. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, cheers. What are you drinking over there, buddy?
Some throat comfort tea.
For some throat comfort tea.
Hmm.
My goodness.
But I
Well,
got a backer.
I'm a hacker.
I got some rye whiskey.
Rye whiskey.
also known as Grandpa's old cough syrup or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I used to work with a guy named Rye. He made my throat feel great. I don't know what that means.
yeah.
Mark, do you wanna read? You wanna tell us your pool list there, buddy? There, old
Yeah,
pal.
why don't that's a great transition.
Speaking of like, well, no, here's a better transition. You're talking about you have a tea to help your throat. You're gonna need it for this I don't know what this triathlon you're about to endeavor upon of getting through this entire pool list in the next hour.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get there. Um, it actually breaks down pretty easy. I got 3 from Marvel, 2 from DC, 3 from Image, and 2 from Dark Horse. So
Okay.
those are kind of like the the big two, and then the big two indies for me.
Okay.
So
Mine was similarly easily to break down. That was a weird sentence to say.
uh-huh.
Similarly easily broken down.
Yeah.
Wow. We're
Sometimes I understand the trouble of like your mind is processing faster than your mouth can speak. Like I do it all the time.
well, yeah, especially now when you're speaking like um a
Smooth
smooth
jazz
jazz
operator.
a smooth jazz operator.
Yeah.
He's operating the smooth jazz machine.
All right. All right, so coming up next on my list, we have from Marvel, we got some Star Wars. This is issue 29. It has Lando on the cover with a lady in white. So I'm wondering if this is like a Lando wedding scenario.
Oh my.
Yeah,
How scandalous.
I haven't read into it. I'm actually like, you wouldn't believe it. I'm a little behind on Star Wars comics, but I'm catching up on Star Wars novels at the
Oh,
moment. Then I
there
got
you
Star
go.
Wars Bounty Hunters 28 and The Mandalorian number 5. So,
Nice.
and next up we have from DC, Gotham City Year 1, Issue 2, and Sword of Azrael number 4. So there's only 2 more of those coming out, 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say that's gotta be close to getting done.
yeah, and following up our DC list, we have our Image Comics. And I got one that I was expecting, and two I was like, oh wow, they haven't put an issue out in a while. And the first one would be Bloodstained Teeth number 6. I'm excited this one's back in my pull box because I really just enjoy this one for the art so much, and the story is really solid. So if you're not
Nice.
reading that one, totally recommend getting on that. I'm sure that this is the start of volume 2, so volume 1's probably out by now.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I actually saw that, or maybe I'm just making up. I know I saw something of Bloodstained Teeth today, and I was like, oh, I can never remember if that's a good comic or a bad one. But you're
yeah,
saying here on Pullbox Pals, this is a Pullbox Pals exclusive.
I just yeah, well yeah. If you like just like vibrancy in a comic, like
Hmm,
that's how I would describe this because like the colors in the story are both very vibrant. Um, next up, I got something that you have dropped, my friend.
oh
Little
no.
Monsters number 7.
I dropped it like a hot potato. That's not
Yeah,
true. I stuck. No, I didn't drop it. What's the opposite of a hot potato? Hot potato is when you drop something really quick. I dropped that thing. That thing was. I don't want to say anything bad, but I
after the
didn't.
fourth bite, and you're like, nah.
No. But hey, if you're enjoying it, then are you excited about that new arc?
I've been enjoying the series overall. As far as I know, there's only 3 more issues coming out. Um, I might be wrong on that. I usually am, but yeah, like all I've seen forecasted is just 3 more issues. So, and then
Okay.
next we got Old Dog, which I had issues with issue 1 because some of the dialogue boxes were missing. It seemed, and there was words
Mm,
on the in some of the panels that should have had dialogue boxes around them and didn't. And it also seemed like the story or like the pages may have been a little out of order at times too. So we'll see. I never heard anything or anybody else having that problem with Old Dog number 1, but
interesting.
uh, I was still able to gather enough to be like, yeah, this seems like a great premise, and so I'm sticking with issue number 2. And lastly, from Dark Horse, I'm really enjoying this series. My comic shop,
Your
uh,
comic ship. You got a
my
comic
co-
ship.
my comic ship. No, my
Yeah, it's out in Oregon, so it just comes in off the coast.
comes right in off the boat.
There's like big burly. I'm imagining like big burly fishermen, like those kind of guys, and they're just like throwing up crates of comic books. That's how they get
Yeah,
into Oregon.
man. Well, now that just makes me think of like last time I was down in California and I was on the coast, like when there was all the shipping problems in like 2020, like on top
Yeah,
of all the COVID pandemic problems, and um, just sitting on the beach looking off the coast of like, Long Beach essentially. Just so many ships just out there, just like waiting to port. Like it was
that's
just
wild.
unbelievable. Yeah. Like
Huh.
I couldn't put a number to it. But anyways, back to the one I've been enjoying the series is Survival Street from Dark Horse. Um, so this is kind of like a play on the Muppets, but like, and we'll say that one political party is essentially written into law that corporations can run for office, and it's just like it just turns America into this like huge capitalistic like society, and everything is strictly, well, I mean, everything is strictly based on capitalism already, but if you
Oh,
could get
what a
if
crazy concept.
I know it's crazy. But anyways,
I'm gonna
the
have a hard
premise is
time
really fun
relating.
because it's like if the Muppets, like Sesame Street, like kind of got the shaft when all this happens and they're bitter about it and they go all like Rambo and Ninja on them. Like that's what this series is. And it's really fun. I don't know if anybody else reading it right now. Probably one of
Yeah,
our pals on Instagram is, but
yeah.
nobody's
Can I
coming to
just make a
mind.
quick tangent? I want
Yeah,
more
please.
things like Rambo, because Rambo's such a good story. Or
Yeah.
First Blood, you know what I mean? I guess it's
First
called
Blood's a
First Blood.
great movie.
Yeah, because I just there's no like I love movies where there's no real story and there's no real conclusion, but something happened. I love a good something happened movie. And that's kind of what you get with Rambo. I mean, there is like a story, but it's kind of like, what? Like you're still left with like, what are the that's just a crazy thing that happened.
Yeah,
Uh
so you're talking about like 80s and early 90s like action films where it's just like we get right into it, you know?
no, more I just yeah, I see, but I guess there's like weird substance to First Blood that I can't say is there in like other action movies,
Yeah.
because there's the whole like PTSD thing and like being a drifter and all that. It's just a very interesting look at a point in time in US history, and then a helicopter blows up or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like the franchise goes completely off the rails like this podcast did. Let's get
From
back
the
to
start.
from the start. Hey, you're a little unwell, and ships, they're all over the place. We were just talking about it.
Oh yeah. And lastly, this is the only issue number 1 that I got this week, which I don't think I got any last week, and that's actually a good thing now that I'm finding out, because the less issue ones I have means less comics I'm subscribed to.
Right. Yeah.
But this is Quick Stops from Dark Horse, and then also this is Kevin
Mm,
Smith's Secret Stash Press.
right.
Um, so I'll read you what the cover says. It says anecdotes from the I always mispronounce this word, annals, ANNALS, from the
Excuse
annals.
me.
I don't annals.
uh,
It's
Annals.
not a. It's not singular N. It's just one N or two.
Kevin
Sorry,
Smith.
two N's.
Kevin Smith deliberately chose that word so you and I would be doing exactly what we're doing right now. Just two
Oh,
dudes being
prob.
like, it's not anal, but it
How do you
looks like
say
it's
this, bro?
anal.
Um,
Oh,
but it's the annals of
the
the
annals.
the Askewverse, and
We both
from what
went to
I
college together. We should be smarter than this. But what are you gonna
some
do?
sometimes stupid's out there, and sometimes it is just it's you. So
I like that. Sometimes stupid's out there and it's you.
I
Uh
tell my kids before they leave the house. Sometimes I'm like, stupid's out there. Don't let it be you.
oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I say to my dog, make wise choices. And I say it to my friends sometimes. But it's not a great catchphrase. It's not as good as
yeah.
that. But hey, do you want to see the comics I got this week?
Yeah. I was gonna say a little bit though about this
Oh
comic real
no,
quick.
I'm so
Well,
sorry.
just real quick. It's okay.
Okay.
Um, so this does like include references to like his movies, and I read the preview of it, and it's like his take on what watching somebody else interview at like a Comic Con type event. Um, and then obviously like Jay and Silent Bob are a part of this series as well, which they, you know, in the movies they're always just kind of like they're the observers of what's going on for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, but they still
Mm-hmm.
interact with the characters of the movie, and so it seems like that might be where this comic is going. So I'm,
Okay.
you know, pardon my smooth jazziness today, but like I am pretty excited about like getting into this. So
Yeah, I'm real excited about this comic.
I'm really excited.
Hey, but you know who has a voice that's sometimes real groggly and but it can be fierce and it strikes fear into the heart of the hearers, and that's a good old Batman
Oh
with
yeah, I
this
love
is
that cover. Is that the main cover? Or is that a variant?
I believe this is the main cover. I'm glad that you said that you like it because I am not a huge fan. I'm even less of a fan of this Stargirl looking thing. This does not look great. Sorry, DC. Sorry, the CW. I wish
It's
this. I'm
the
sure the C.
CW. Yeah, yeah. Those CW shows have kind of, in my opinion, they kind of went downhill at
See,
some
but
point.
I've never watched them, so I feel like I can't say that. You know, like it's been years since I watched one, but I
Yeah,
would love for them to be good because there's so much of it. So I would love to be able to go into that and just enjoy the heck out of it. You know,
yeah.
but so yeah, Batman 129, Chip Zdarsky. Just I'm really far behind on this, so I can't even say anything about it
You
really,
do
other than
not. You do not have the main cover.
I do not.
You
Okay.
have cover C by Francesco Mentina as
Oh yeah,
cardstock
right as
variant.
you said that, I saw it here on the side. I guess I don't know if you can see that
Um,
small font that you can't read. That's what that says.
Little
Welcome.
sidebar on you know, this the Zerenar Batman. His Lego figurine, I think, is the first time in like that we had it. No, I think it's like from a really old comic, and then they had it as like this giveaway at San Diego Comic Con, I think.
Hmm.
Anyways, it's one of the most like expensive like Lego minifigures that you can have, as
Oh
far
my
as I
goodness.
understand, at least in the like comic book world of figures.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do with that?
I don't have it.
Oh, I thought you said you had it. Oh my
No,
goodness.
my brother has a not like a one from San Diego Comic Con, but there's a guy who will that he found online who will make any minifigure that you can come up with. And my
Okay.
brother wanted one of those, so he had ordered one and got one, but it's not like a legit one. It's
Ah,
like a aftermarket one or whatever.
understandable.
Yeah.
Well, we are the king of tangents this week because I'm on my second comic, and this is issue number 2, so that's perfect. This is the Saturday Morning Adventures, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I
Mm.
almost bought a keytar one time, um, but that's a story for another day. I didn't read the
But that's
first
not
issue.
just a keytar on there.
I guess it was not. No, that's definitely a
It's like a
gun.
keytar blaster.
Yeah, a kablaster. Do you think it'll be
Blast.
called a kablaster? No, it's going to be called
No.
like a keytar gun. That's not good. Maybe that'll be what it's called. But yeah,
You'll find out, I'm sure.
I haven't read the first issue of that, but I'm sure I'll be doing that on some Saturday morning because it seems right.
That seems like the right day to read that comic.
Yeah, for some weird reason, eh?
Who else is on it?
Um,
One of the comic book layer guys.
yeah, and I think I've
That's who
seen a
turned you on to it, yeah.
I
Oh, and
believe so.
Andy talked about it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
trying to remember because I know somebody else and he talked about it on this here very show.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, um, I I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of anybody else but no, I can't. So, anyways, on to the next one. I was saying earlier that I too had a interesting like each studio that was putting something out was different or each publisher. So I didn't mention this. The first one was Batman, that's DC. The second one was IDW, and then this is going to be Vault, and this is End After End number 3. So this is kind of looking a little spooky. The last couple issue covers weren't looking as spooky as this, so maybe things get a little
That is pretty
adventurous.
spooky.
I wouldn't be surprised if I read that and don't enjoy it if I don't keep reading it, because this kind of needs to do something. And then here's something else that I am reading, and I think this might be the end of this arc. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, yeah, it looks like it might be. But that Texas Blood number 19, I am very excited about this.
I
Yeah,
really want to
this
read that.
you got to get on it, man.
It's
I
not on.
mean,
I don't think it's on Comixology yet.
like at all?
Well, like you can buy it. I don't want to.
No, you want to get the physical copy of it. I know for a fact that the first volume is $10, because I
Well,
bought it.
yeah, the first volume is always cheapest.
Yeah,
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. And then the cover of, well, no, there's issue. I wish I could remember the number. I know I have it up on my wall. I actually have it signed by Chris Coden.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm a huge fan of the covers of these comics. I know we don't try to normally talk
Wait,
about these.
did you get Chris to sign that, or was that just a copy that you came
No,
upon and bought?
I was a part of his Patreon for a little bit of time, and they had those available up there, so I bought myself a copy. It's my favorite one. Not issue probably, but my favorite cover. It's one of those American Romance. Is that what or American Romantic? The farmer
Yeah.
and his wife. It's a
Yeah.
rendition of one of those.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah. So I big fan of that. I would get up and show it to you, but I don't feel like scurrying across my room and grabbing it and
And
potentially
risking
knocking.
knocking all the comics out. I already did that like before we started the show. I like reached my arms up to stretch, and then
Yeah.
like I knocked, I think, the Riddler here, and
Oh
it
no.
caused all 4 of these to fall. I caught 3 of them. And
There you go.
the ironic thing is that you see I got Vanish here. The last time it happened to me is when I got Vanish issue 1, and I
Wow.
damaged my Vanish issue 1.
Well, you got to damage that one now for old time's
Well,
sake, I guess.
this one actually, the sleeve did its job and protected it. Like the
Good.
sleeve kind of got a little messed up, but
Yeah.
comic's fine.
Comic's fine. But this looks like a fine comic, and it's from Boom Studio. So every comic I got was from a different publisher. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Boom
But
Studios is a hot topic today.
yeah, and I guess I don't know. I don't this like before something is killing their children. I can't think of many things that I was reading that was from Boom Studios. So
I got
um,
I got quite a bit of Boom.
yeah, this seems
Yeah.
a little bit more up your alley than it would be my like Studios in general.
I know which one you're about to pull up. Not just because you slightly flashed the cover, but
Oh no.
I wanted to get on this one, but I said no.
Why'd you say no? It's
Because
Behold Behemoth.
I'm trying to reduce my number ones.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that, but see, I'll talk about this probably with a comic later, but I'm a big fan of this art. And if the art is good and interesting, I guess I should say who it's by. So it's written by Tate Bromble, and who I'm not familiar with at all. And the illustrations are by Nick Romble and lettered by And World Design.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
World
and
Design does a lot of lettering, and I think that I'm guessing that might be a person's just like moniker, but it also I'm not really I'm not super familiar with what And World Design is, but I see it a lot.
but if you're watching the video version of this, like I'm just a huge fan of this type of art style. There's a couple of like Switch games, I guess they're probably on other consoles and whatnot, but like what do they call it, walking simulators, where it's just more about the scenery and all that stuff. There's a lot of
Yeah.
games that I play that are very stylistic of this, and yeah, so it just got me sucked in to be like, I don't know, a part of this weird like Sapia world where everything kind of looks drab and dreary. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know anything about the story. I'm a big fan of the name of Behold Behemoth. That sounds like a good like metal name, but it doesn't seem like a metal story, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it's about a guy with a big sword. Maybe it will be, though,
Yeah.
as one could hope.
I hope for your sake that it is. I'm interested in it, so I definitely want to hear about it after you read it. So if you read it this week, you text me and you let me know.
Or we can talk about it on our world famous podcast, Pullbox Pals.
It is, yeah.
Um,
I mean,
we
I'm sure you've had a viewer from at least one other country.
Yeah, why not? Let's be that optimistic. Um, but so do you want to get into the book of the big book of the week? Is it the big book of the week
I don't know.
comic?
I was thinking that we get into, because it's Boom Studios and there's one issue, there's an issue and then there's a volume, and I thought maybe we start with the issue.
The issue? You want to start with the issue? All right,
I
that
think,
works for me.
yeah, because I feel like we'll have a lot less to say about the issue than we will the volume.
That's fair. So
Yeah,
you want to hold? Well, I guess yours is already up there, but we're going to be talking about Stuff of Nightmares #2.
yeah.
You want to take the lead on this one, buddy?
Why not? I did like this one. I don't think it like carried as much weight as the first issue did, and we've talked about this before on the show, but it's an issue 2. Like, sometimes you see an issue 2 kind of dip below the expectation of issue 1, or like what you got from it, issue 1.
Mhm.
Because this one, it did kind of just, I don't know, it kind of felt like everything that happened in it didn't really need to, because they had already like set a premise. And
Mm,
so, and then it also, like, the first issue started off with like, you thought you knew who the like protagonist of the series was, but then that person, those people died in that one. And this one just like reset up the same premise of the ones who actually became the protagonists, the Cameron brothers. They fled somewhere else, they got a new spot, and then like there's a twist ending.
yeah. They're
And
kind of
so,
almost exactly at the same spot that they were like when the couple found them, that you're saying, right, were the original protagonist. Let me ask you this. What's some of your favorite stuff that happened in this comic? Cuz I noticed sometimes we really like to analyze like analytically what we thought about it, but we never really
yeah.
talk about like here's my favorite like set piece or like whatever that happened. What was like what's your favorite thing that happened in this comic?
I guess it's just when they got to their new spot, this old cabin they used to go to as kids that's been abandoned. And um it kind of seemed like somebody should be there, and they scoped it out and nobody was. But then one of the brothers went upstairs, and this, like, I don't know, creature, you know,
A
came
butler
out,
creature?
like a butler creature. And I think he may have had pointy ears, like came out as like, "Oh, Master," was it Isaac or Jordan? I think it was Jordan. Yeah,
Sure.
"Master Jordan, you're back." And it's like they had already said too, like they'd been gone from, they hadn't been to that place in like 20 years or something. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh, a creature from the past that like knows the boys and is also spooky is now being thrown in. So like, but then at the same time, that character is never really brought up again.
No.
Um,
I'm sure he'll come back into play. Um,
so I think that's kind of what I was drawn to, and I think now that I'm talking about it, like that's what it was like. Okay, so this happened, but now, like, now what?
yeah.
Because then the ending happened, which I don't want to spoil for anybody, but it was just like, it was kind of an expected ending in a way, but at the same time, like, you can see like how they're using it to set up like the story of where they're going. And
Yeah.
I guess in a way it seems like they've used 2 issues to do an issue 1.
Yeah. I'm gonna just full disclosure and say that I didn't enjoy this very much. Um, which I didn't enjoy issue #1 super much. I
Okay,
probably
yeah.
would have given it like a 3 if I was being generous, like a 3.5. Um, and all of the problems that I had with the first one just continued on to this one. But
Okay.
um
That's fair, cuz some of the reviews that I've read kind of share your opinion. I think the average rating for this comic is like a 7.5.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's not terrible. And I don't I think I realized because I've been reading a couple comics this week, and I mean that's obviously what this whole thing is about, right? Um, but I've just been noticing that I'm starting to get like really picky about like what my favorite thing is or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just I don't know. I find myself maybe the next comic that we're going to talk about I think was a little bit more fun of like what I kind of look for a comic experience. But I if you know if I want to say like what's one of my favorite things about stuff of nightmares, I really love the I really love the art. And
Mm.
it's such a shame for me that I'm not enjoying the story because I love the art styling so much. Um, this there's one of the I can't remember which one of the brothers. Oh, I just dropped my phone. Uh, which one of the
You don't need
brothers?
it right now.
No, I don't. I'm living in the moment. That's why I just threw my phone against the floor. Um, but one of the brothers, he wears glasses, and I really love when they do this in like horror comics. They did this in Something's Killing the Children,
They
where they
did it
don't
in
really,
West of Sundown too.
yeah, they don't really show the character's eyes. They just kind of use the glasses to kind of give this like
Like there's
shard
always
of
a reflection
mystery.
off the there's always just like it's a reflection off the glass in some way, but yeah, you can't see what this mad scientist type person is actually doing and thinking. Like, isn't it
Yeah,
Hugo Strange that way?
I would imagine so. I mean, because that's even similar what they do with Batman with like having his eyes be white. You know.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, so I don't know. I I'm I really enjoy the art. I think this story could be a lot better if like you're saying if it was either more condensed or more
yeah,
spread out. I feel like the pacing of this storytelling is very weird.
yeah. And this one, it did it just I kind of said it earlier, but it's just like it lacked the stakes and like the tension that the first issue held.
What you
Because
what
like I think that the first issue is a really good setup for a series.
mhm
Like I was like, okay, cool, like they're fleeing, and so like I was expecting more out of this one, like what like this issue is going to pick up. They're already set up, and like they're already like doing their thing again, and then I was hoping there would be more with like the cop and like the editor at the the journalist who died, like who she worked for. I thought we were gonna have a little bit more of like that to draw in a little more tension throughout the comic,
mhm
and that just wasn't like it was kind of there, but it wasn't. It was there as much as this mysterious butler creature that showed up. Like it was like that's like the interesting stuff, but it didn't really get into that, and so yeah, it did fall flat in
yeah.
comparison to the first issue. But was the first issue a great first issue? Not really.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like R.L. Stein is still playing with old horror tropes, and
I really liked I wish they would have stayed with because I feel like this cartoon or the artist in that this I can't remember who it is. I guess I could look at it right here. A.L. Kaplan. Uh,
Mhm.
I would love to see him do some sort of like Miami Vice type show or something like that because I feel like his art style is very like I don't know why. Maybe it's because the first issue was at a beach, and I think
Yeah,
that the way that he drew was very reminiscent of like beach style in the 80s. Is that
yeah,
fair to say?
I'd say
Eh,
that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah, so maybe that exists somewhere out there, but I'm like I said, I'm really into this art style, so I'm gonna probably and I really I Andy commented on my pool video from last week saying something about him getting Stuff of Nightmares #2 and how he mentioned that he thought it was an anthology series originally. And I think you and I
Yeah,
also had a discussion about whether or not it was. And honestly, I really wish it was. I feel like
yeah,
that last story could have ended at issue #1 and it would have been fine. And then this story could have picked up about how the keeper of the nightmares has Prince of England's eyebrow. We could
oh
have heard
yeah,
we could have
yeah.
heard
That
that
was that was
story.
another weird thing that just got like mentioned too. I forgot about that. There's like that's really cool. Why is he showing this to us and setting up this whole story that's coming? And then here's like what's the deal with the eyebrow?
So I think that was just I think a lot of this is just R.L. Stein has like creepy thoughts and he just like wants to put them on paper in some way. But there is also the subplot that we didn't really talk about, but the creatures from the first issue don't all die. They actually get out and they start terrorizing
Oh yeah,
people. But
yeah.
it's interesting because several months go by in the story and like these people don't hear once about like a tale of like zombie mush people eating.
Well, they're in a cabin in the woods, an abandoned cabin in the
I
woods,
guess that's fair.
and
I
somehow they're able to get electricity running in it. Like that kind of threw me off too. It's like how
Yeah, you gotta
somebody like
like
the power company would know somebody's drawing power out there.
they'd be like, oh wait a minute, somebody looks like there's enough electricity going out there to try to bring somebody back from the dead. I bet.
And I didn't see any solar panels on the roof, so maybe they got a
No.
field of them back there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the story. I'm trying to say like good things, but I think you just have to go in like just fully like just being like, yeah, what's next? Because for me, like one of my biggest problems with this comic is that it feels like all of the characters are existing only for the line that they're saying. Their
Yeah,
motives seem to like change on a dime. Their relationship with each other changes on a dime. Like the characters literally only exist to say whatever it is that they're currently saying.
yeah,
Um, and it does kind of tell an interesting story, but again, it's retelling horror tropes, and that's cool. But the story needs to be compelling because I've seen Frankenstein, and again,
yeah,
we really don't like talking negatively about comics, so I don't want to really say anything else besides I hope that when I give this guy a Google, this A.L. Kaplan, that he's done some sort of like neon dystopian future game
yeah.
comic or something like that. Do you have any final
But
thoughts before we put the nail in the proverbial coffin?
no,
Coffin.
I think I covered it all. But it just seemed like yeah, there was some like great moments in the series, but then like I don't know the ending. I'm still like up in the air about like I don't know. It just like kind of saw it coming, and then at the same time, it's like, oh, it's just getting into like a more like just classic, like, oh, of course this happened. So I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see. Like, I'm probably gonna stick with it because I just because it's R.L. Stein, I want to see where this goes. I'll at least just do the first arc. I don't know.
I'm
I
curious
don't
to
know
see
how
how
long it's
many are
going.
in this first arc because if there's so many things have happened, but nothing has happened. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
yeah. Like
So
a bunch of like just kind of random things that aren't necessary have happened and haven't really built like a bigger look at like what this comic is actually about.
no, I think they're setting it up with that background with the zombie mush people getting out into the world.
Yeah.
But you want to swing on over to our next one?
Yeah, speaking of Into the Woods, as I said earlier, we both went down the rabbit hole of Tinian, right? Yeah,
Yep.
James Tinian the fourth, and we both landed on the same thing. You know, I had seen that you posted about it a couple days ago, and I was like, dude, that's funny because like that's what I of his I picked up too. So just for a little recap, James Tinian, he is the writer of Something's Killing the Children, which Tim and I demolished, and then we're all I'm at least I'm working my way through House of Slaughter as well, which is a kind of a spin-off of Something is Killing the Children that focuses more on uh, the actual House of Slaughter that the main character Erica is from. Um,
See.
anyways, if you haven't read Something's Killing Children, like it's on Comixology. If you have a subscription, it's totally worth the read.
Hmm.
But this is The Woods, and you said you got through volume 2. I've only made it through volume 1. Um, but since you've gotten a little further, how are you enjoying this?
I'm enjoying it very much. It's a little more lighthearted than Something is Killing the Children, but still kind
Yeah,
of has that eeriness and darkness to it. The premise is that there is a school. I can't remember the name of the school. I feel like you're gonna have to help me with a lot of the names because there's a lot of characters, and when there's
it's
a lot of
the Bay Point Preparatory High School.
there you go. When that
Yeah,
building uh just gets teleported to a moon that is orbiting a gas giant, and
Yeah.
one of the students goes out and psychically connects with a glowing rock
Arrow.
arrow.
It's like it's a big rock sticking out of the ground, but it's like an
It's like
arrow
if you were
pointing in a
playing
direction.
it's like if you were playing Mario and you or like a Donkey Kong and you were running along and like the game was encouraging you that you were going in the right direction, and
Yeah.
the level was kind of like Donkey Kong in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great at analogies. You can hire me to write analogies for you at www.analogiesmonk.com. I have to buy that now.
Yeah, you do.
Anywho,
It's probably for
um,
sale.
it's 100% for sale for very cheap, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Um, but so okay, so they're on this foreign planet. There's factors within the school. The like, how do you say that? Faculty try to facilitate, who's gonna do what, and how are we gonna get out of there. There's one of the kids that connects with the stone. He's essentially saying that they can't stay there, that they'll eventually just die. They need to go to a certain place, and certain things happen along the way.
Yeah.
um I'm trying to remember where the first arc ends, so you're gonna have to forgive me if I go. I mean, but that's essentially the story there, right?
Well,
Nothing really.
yeah, and then it's also this moon that they've landed on it. It's what, a celestial planet, like meaning it supports life.
Hmm.
Um, at least I think that's what celestial planet is. Here we are being on that
Scientists
stupid
again.
track again. Yeah. Um, Anywho, so there are like creatures on this moon, and there's these giant like mosquito looking things that like attacked them, these weird bat looking things that had attacked them, and then the end of it is that like six of the kids have left the school and they've gone to the woods, like going in the direction that the arrow was pointing, following the kid that you mentioned. Is it
Andreas?
Isaac? And
Oh,
age, I don't know.
Adrian, something like that. Isaac's the his friend.
Yeah, Isaac's the friend. Yeah, so forgive me on that kid's name, the one who is kind
Forgive
of,
me on all of their names, and I think there's
yeah.
a Ben. I'm not going to
Yeah,
pretend that
there's
I
a
know.
Ben, yeah.
Okay, so maybe
Um,
look at me. I'm knowing more than I can. I'm thinking. I'm very proud of
but yeah,
myself.
so he leads a group of five out. A six-person chases after because a friend of hers went and didn't want her to go, and she's also a part of the student body council. And the student body council is kind of battling with the school faculty because the school faculty is like not taking action. They're doing the
Hmm.
adult thing where they're like, man, like we're trying to lead a group of teenagers who like think they know everything about everything and haven't come to the realization that like nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
And
they think that
but
there's a
then
solution, but there's not.
yeah, and so like the adults are like actually trying to plan, but they're led by the incompetent principal. Like, it starts off with him, I think, in issue one, just being like why did I choose to become the principal of this school? And like she's
Yeah,
the student body president's thinking the same thought, like what is this idiot doing running this school? So they don't have
yeah,
like the best opinion of each other, so there's already like that animosity between the school council and the school faculty. And so there's that tension building, and then there's the tension out in the woods of just like there's these now six kids facing off, uh against creatures that they don't know anything about.
yeah. On a
But
planet that they don't know anything about.
and then they come across like this was really interesting. I liked it. They came across like the Mayan pyramid,
Mm,
and while they're like looking at the wall and like people have like etched things in, it's like, well, this is uh this is Russian, but this is written in French, and but they all look like they've been written like hundreds of years apart, and there's just like
mm.
some time thing going on with their warp to the planet as well, which I find really fascinating
Yeah,
because
or I mean, I kind of took that as that they've just been doing whatever this is for hundreds of years.
yeah, but like they've also just, yeah, but they've just pulled
Who
people from
knows?
just different times, because I think there's possibly even languages that they didn't like recognize like the script of. But I mean,
Right.
I don't recognize all the scripts of the world we live in now. So
No.
but yeah, so
What
it
am
could
I, a
be either which
scientist?
way, but either way, it's like it's fascinating. And then like towards the end, like the kids also get saved by, but also hunted by this like group of other humans that appear to have been there for a while. Like one of them's wearing like a colonial hat,
Yeah.
and like
There's like a
another one's
Viking.
like they're all wearing different like things from different eras, which is why I think like that kind of supports my idea of like all these languages written um in different scripts on the
Right.
wall inside the pyramid, like kind of points to like, oh, like the whoever's pulling them there is like pulling them outside of time.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this comic because I feel like what we got with Something is Killing the Children was a very simple, well-told story. This is
yeah,
a little bit more of a complex story, but it's also being told pretty well.
well, like
Um,
volume one's only the like first four issues of the series, which is, you when you do a four-issue series, you're saying a lot in those four issues.
yeah.
So
Um,
or a four
and
issue like arc.
honestly, not a whole much happens. Not a whole much. Not a whole. It's mostly character development in the second volume. Not so much story progression. There is a decent amount of story progression, but it's not. Um, it's nothing that couldn't have been done in a one issue, probably one or
Yeah.
two issues.
Well, and I
Um,
mean, there's let me see. I think I have it up here.
I know. I think there's like 6 volumes or something like that. So we're
I
like,
think there's more than that, honestly.
oh, really? My goodness.
Yeah.
So I mean, because we didn't even say how long ago this came out or anything like that, but one thing I really would do want to say is James Tinian the fourth, and this isn't, I'm sure this has been said 1,000 times, but that dude loves killing kids.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm gonna just, have some kids die in this. But hey, what are you gonna do? He's one of the best comic book writers of our time, it would appear.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm looking at the volumes. There are 9 volumes out.
9 volumes. Wow. We were
Yeah.
so yeah, we didn't even, we barely scratched the surface of this. Nine
Yeah.
volumes. Phew.
And that came out in 2018, so I don't know if this is like I don't know if this is going on anymore. I don't think it is, by the
No, because
way.
that's probably around the time that he would have done Something is Killing Children. Maybe.
Uh,
I don't know.
no, he started Something is Killing the Children in 2020 or like late 2019. But I mean, he would have been like working on it probably towards the end of the woods. Yeah, series
For
finale was
sure.
issue 36.
Wow.
Yeah.
36. 9 arcs at 36. Huh. Those are short volumes. So
Yeah,
that's interesting.
that means they're all four. They're all 4 issue volumes.
Wow. Look at you being able to do math so
I do
fast.
math. Yeah, I'm fast math sometimes.
Well, hey, man, do you want to get into another comic? You got one you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I already mentioned it because it fell off my shelf, but Vanish. This is a series that I would say is a must read. Like,
Oh.
or sorry, yeah, and the other one I want to talk about actually. Vanish also though did kind of fall short for me in issue 2, but like I'm not really ever like surprised by issue 2 being the one that dips down.
Mm,
Um, because like again, like there's already like a good plot built in the first one that they could have carried over a little bit more like action in this next one, but it does just have a really good solid story of it like being its own issue of number 2, where you get to explore more of the main character, um, uh, Oliver. Yeah, Oliver. Um,
all of
uh,
the other reindeer.
yeah, and I posted about this one too on Instagram earlier this week as well. But it's written by Matthew Salvia. Uh, Again, like another thing that carried over with this issue too, that kind of reminds me of what we just talked about with Stuff of Nightmares, is like there's kind of like some random things just like brought in that didn't make a whole lot of sense,
Hmm.
um, but there is still just a lot more character building of the main character, and I think that that's good just for the setup of what looks to be a fairly long series. I don't think that this is just a 5 issue arc. So
Well, there
we'll
you go.
see. But it's just really exciting, and I think anybody who loves like old classic Image comics, especially like Spawn back when Spawn first came out. Just the art is such a great tribute to like that style. It's just like really slick and gritty, I guess. Um, and I'll say vibrant. Like it really pops out. Like that's just what Image did in their early days. They had
Yeah,
some
just
poppin'
from
art.
what I can see from the cover, everything that you're saying seems to be true. Like that looks like a very classic Image comic.
Yeah. But yeah, this one just dives into the story of Oliver like talking to his best friend who has chosen to completely forget the past and just move on with his life. And lo and behold, he's like a magician. Does shows, probably somewhere similar to what Las Vegas is, but I think it is in where they are at presently. Um, and then he has to go back and talk with his wife about like why he had her signet ring, which essentially just gave him more power, which is why he was able to defeat the Hollow follower in the previous issue. So it does get more into depth for the character, and so I liked it for that. But overall, so far the series in the first two issues, I've just been very impressed with. I'm very excited about what's coming from it.
Nice.
So I say it is a must read.
A must read. Wow.
Yeah.
And what's oh yeah, duh. Um yeah, so okay, maybe I'm gonna have to check out my comic shop. That seems like something that it would have there. So I guess I'm gonna have to look into that. Well, and also it's
Yeah.
Image, so maybe I'll just wait until that trade paperback comes
You
out.
know what I did? I wrote notes from another comic underneath Vanish, and I think I flipped it with my other comic. I said that Matthew Salvia wrote it. That is not right.
Oh no.
Sorry. That was just in like my first line of notes, but there's again similarity, and they're both issue twos. But this is written by Donnie Cates, and it's penciled by Ryan Stegman, inked by J.P. Meyer, colored by Sonia Obak, and lettered by John J. Hill. And this team is doing a great job of this comic. So
Good job.
yeah.
I know that last name only, I think.
Which last name? Cates?
No. I mean the last name that you listed, the J.
John J. Hill?
Yep.
Well, it sounds like Jonah J. James.
No, I know that's not why. I'm pretty sure
Jonah
I've seen
Hill.
that name before. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jonah Hill. But all right, man. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. That seems there's this like weird precious part of my heart that I'm like, I want Mark to have a comic ever since that Righteous Thirst for Vengeance has wrapped up. I'm like, I want Mark to find something like that in his heart. Because that's with me with that Texas Blood. I always have that coming out. That's it's something that I'm always relying on. It's a good faithful one for me. So it's like I'm in a relationship and you're single, which you're not, but like just being like, I want you to find somebody who cares about you the way that Texas Blood cares about me.
Yeah.
But
I get what
anyways,
you're saying. I hear what you're throwing down.
thanks, bud. I'm throwing down like back in my old hardcore days. But speaking of old hardcore days and things of the past that are pretty metal, let's talk about Double Nightmare Feature. So this I picked up last week. I was really hoping I knew this wasn't what it was when I bought it, but I would really love for this to be just like every issue, it's two different one shots. You know what I mean? But this
Yeah.
is going to be telling because I really love that. I want a good like anthology tale like that.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't, it's just small spooky stories. I think that would be brilliant. Because I really enjoyed this. I said the name of it. Yeah. The Double Nightmare Feature. The two stories are called the Semtralians and Denizen. So neither of these names are particularly easy to say, but the Cemetrarians is Daniel Cross. That's the writer. The artist is Mon House. The colorist is Kurt Michael Russell, and the letter is Jim Campbell. And then the other story is the Denizen. Is the writer is David Andre, sorry, and Tim Daniel. The artist is Chris Sheehan. The colorist is Jason Wordy. The letterer is Andwood Design. And right
There
in
you
the
go
middle.
again.
Oh yeah, that was oh yeah, look at that. Small world. But in the middle, they have this fun little intermission. Um,
That's
so
awesome.
it
I
is
love
pretty awesome.
intermissions. Like,
Yeah.
show it to me again.
Oh Lord, Mark, I went away from it. Now I'm back. But yeah, it's
I
all
mean,
that fun
you
stuff
got
there.
your burger, your soda, your popcorn, your fudge sickle. Like,
Yeah,
what does
fudgesicle,
it
man.
say? Fresh, hot, and chilling, and
Fresh, hot, refreshing, delicious, and chilling. See you at the concession stand. Hurry up, our next feature begins shortly.
just
With
put on a
the
little music while you stare at that. Just like, yeah, there you go. That's
I
the one.
should have gotten a snack in the middle. But okay, so the first story, I'll try to go through this really quick, is that bones are disappearing. Our bones are appearing in weird things, in clothing or inside of teddy bears, stuff like that. Bones are just suddenly popping up at random places. There's this one lady who was wearing a corset, and the corset turned into a rib cage and crushed her ribs.
Interesting. Can I
Yes.
see that? Can you show me the cover one more time?
Oh, the cover.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
the cover for all of our viewers.
Man,
Um,
I want to read that.
you should.
I want to read
Uh,
it.
so the so somehow I guess it's like a government organization. I can't really remember, but there's a religious um, clergy of sorts. She's technically like a priest in like the Eastern Orthodox order or something like that. Something a little bit not traditional, but she's more of like a very, I don't know, how do you say this, like a liberal religious person, very much on more of the trying to understand the universality of all the religions and not just stick to the dogma of one. And she's working with a scientist who they're trying to figure out why these bones are just randomly appearing into things, because there's also bones disappearing from bodies that
Ooh.
um yeah, are underground. So I don't really, there's not much to spoil in this comic because it's just a lot of setting up the story, but the story ends in a really cool way where he's one of the, I believe it's the scientist, is listening to um or no, he gets, I'm sorry, I'm confusing this with a different story. I'm confusing this with Canary, which I read this week. But the scientist had a dream once that his mother was saying to him beyond the grave, "Don't bury me." So I think this is going to have something to do with people, not wanting to be buried and the importance of bones or something like that. But
Huh.
yeah, so that's that first story. Felt like I stayed on that one for far too long. But the second one I actually enjoyed more, even though there was pretty much less of a story of that. It was kind of just setting up this world. It's about a family who's going camping. Well, let's start this off. The story starts with this guy who has a camper, and he has a weird entity in it that's like trying to sneak out of it, and he's like fighting it to keep it in, and then he's just driving off with it in the back. And then it cuts to a family that's going on a vacation. Their RV breaks down, so they have to try to stay at this little resort where that camper is, and then there's some connection there. Um, yeah, I don't really want. There's literally not a whole lot, but I'm a huge fan of the writing and the art. It does really remind me of that Texas Blood. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, this is because a big thing in that Texas Blood is that there's always kind of like a looming threat, and like
Mhm.
there's a lot of suspense. And that's definitely what this second comic was. But yeah,
Can you show me the cover one more time? Sorry.
no problem. The full blown cover.
Yeah, just the cover. Yeah,
You want this to like sink into your memories, don't you?
I do.
What are you trying to look for? You look like you're squinting.
No,
Here, let me.
well, I'm just trying to get closer to the screen because it's kind of tiny.
Wow,
No, I really like that cover.
it is
It
really great.
reminds me of like West of Sundown, which they're both
Hmm.
obviously a play on like the old horror, like what you would see outside the movie theater while that horror movie was playing.
Yeah, and
And
grindhouses.
yeah,
Grindhouses?
grind
Grounded
house,
houses.
just grindhouse. Grind
grounded houses.
what Grindhouse does.
Um, do you got another one you want to talk about, bud?
Yes. So this other one, it's just it's right here. The Boogeyman. Issue 2 came out again. Like I see a lot of the same things with this. I have a string of issue 2 problems, I guess. But my only problem with this issue and Boogeyman was like these entities called the Little Sisters of the Boogeyman gets like mentioned but not really explained, and it
Okay.
seems like a real.
Oh no. I think I might have lost you, or you might have lost me. Oh no, Mark, are you around, buddy? Oh no. Hopefully it was me who went away and not Mark. Oh goodness.
I I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. We're
Are we
back.
back? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
sorry
so
about
like
that.
no worries. So these little sisters, like just briefly get mentioned, and they do just seem like kind of a key piece to like the lore of the Boogeyman, but it just doesn't really get explained all that well. Um, but it is just a very exciting story, like a good continuation. It picks up right where the last one left off. And now, like the Boogeyman, who's known as Father Death, he's one of the elder Boogeymen. And he's supposedly like all this other group of Boogeymen thought he was dead. And he's been living in this little boy's house for a while, I guess. And so now he's trying to help this little boy like survive this like kind of battle that's been going on for like millennia between these boogeymen, and he's like one of the last elders. Um, so it's just like for me, it's like if you're a fan of horror, um, and not like, and I wouldn't say that you have to be both, but like a fan of horror or a fan of like fantasy,
Mm.
or just a fan also of just like general folklore, like this is just such a great comic. This is probably, I'm more excited about this one than I am Vanish. um
Oh,
yeah, so very much looking forward to issue 3. This is one of the things that Ablaze does that I really like is that so this comic's actually written in Spanish.
really?
And yeah, and so a lot of what Ablaze does is that they get comics from around the world and publish them in English. So this is like from another country essentially, and like a lot of like, so it's also just really cool to me that like we're also getting that cultural lore around the Boogeyman, which the Boogeyman's, as far as I know, like throughout lore, throughout cultures, throughout time. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
That's
there's
pretty
just a
dope.
lot that goes into it. So that's all I have to say about that one, other than like it is also to me a must read. So yes, probably my 2 favorite comics I'm attached to right now are Boogeyman and Vanish, and I'm glad that they are on the same cycle. So I don't know if
Yeah.
issue, or at least issue 2 came out at the same time. I'm not sure if issue 1's came out the same week, but yeah. One more thing I wanted to say. I know we're kind of running over our suggested time. If you read any issue of New Think, issue 5 is kind of worth it.
Ugh.
Um, just because of like the social reminder that it is, because
Okay.
it basically like, it's basically a mom telling her son like the beginning of it, it's like, I think you're older enough now to hear this. And she starts talking to her child about like, yeah, we all are different people, and like we all live on a spectrum, but there's all these things in play now that make us want to like label each other and put each other in boxes. But like at the end of the day, we just need to continue to remember like we are different people. Like everybody is just different people. There's certain things we can relate on, whether it be religion, politics, like education, like whatever. Um, but at the end of the day, like they're just another human being trying to get through. And so I just,
Mm.
as like a message, like this one, like that's what all of New Think was. Like each issue is like kind of a message speaking into modern culture, but this one kind of like really wrapped up the whole series. And so I would
Yeah.
say if you're interested in just picking up one issue from this series, like all the build up to this one helps it make more sense, but like it stands alone as its own like telling. And so I really appreciated it about that. But other than that, like issue 1 was my favorite one of the other 4 that came out. So
Awesome.
the other 3 were
So.
So.
Yeah. Well, the only last comic that I want to shout out is Canary. I mentioned that earlier. That's a Comixology exclusive. That's being written by Scott Snyder. I don't remember who wrote, who's doing the art on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really stoked when I saw that popped up on Comixology last week. And also wanted to mention this earlier in my pools, but Barnstormers came out #3.
I'll
So
have to check that out.
yeah, so I'm going to be reading that as well. You read both of these, right? You're up to date on
Yeah,
both of
I'm
them?
up to date on those ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some stuff to spoil in Canary, not too much, but really loving it. Loving a good like um kind of like sci-fi-ish western tale. So
Yeah.
if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend checking that out. But
All right.
how do you feel about landing this bird, buddy?
Well, let's land it. If you're looking for us, that while we're not here, you can find us on Instagram. I believe we are also on Twitter, Facebook. Give us a like and subscribe, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, or if you're listening to it, whatever you're listening to it on. Give us a like, give us a rating, comments. We love comments. It helps us just be better at what we do. And I guess that's comics, baby.
That's comics, baby. All right. Well, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.